Hi, and thank you for joining us today on the road to recovery. I'm your host, Ronda Jackson, serial entrepreneur and small business advocate. And today we have the absolute pleasure of having the Flygirl herself, Miss Vernice Armour, in our presence. Thank you for being here today.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Very good, very good. Well, I just want to kind of give people an idea of who they are talking to today, because I don't know if everyone in the audience knows who you are, but you are the first African American female combat pilot for the U.S. Armed Forces. That is huge. And then evolved into this wonderful entrepreneur and have pursued a career as an inspirational leadership speaker. And Vernice Armour is also the author of Zero to Breakthrough, 7-Step Battle Test Method for Accomplishing Goals That Matter. And that is the most impactful and relevant thing I can share with you guys in part of this conversation, but we'll get a little bit deeper into it. Thank you again for being here, Vernice.
Absolutely. I'm excited about the conversation.
Very good. And so one of the ways that I've been introducing these conversations is asking the guest one word they would use to describe now. What word would you use?
Rise.
Okay, say more. Say more.
When I think about the tremendous turbulence that we're going through, the pressure that we're under, the knee on George Floyd's neck, I can't help but think about Dr. Maya Angelou, when she said, and still I rise.
Yeah.
So since you said I can only pick one word,
just one. Yes.
It was just the rise. How do we get the proverbial knee off of our neck? So we as a people, as a country, united, black, white, brown, yellow, can rise together, right?
Yeah, so I'm glad that you pointed out the unity side of things, because in a few, not a lot, but in a few conversations, there's this siloed effect of us as a country, right? Either you're white or you're this or you're that, and you have to choose. And can you just talk about how you feel about the and, right? The and, you and I working towards.
Right. So, I was a cop, Marine, actually soldier. I was in the Army for a little bit as well. And throughout all of those roles, it was as a team, we won or lose together, one mission, one goal, one team, working to serve our community. We are all one. So when I think about where we are and who we are, I can't help but think of us together and how are we going to do this together. It's crazy these days how we preface. My white friend said on her Instagram, white people, do something. And we all have our role to play, to engage, to take a part in. And black people by themselves that don't have the means or the access to some of the places and, the policies and infrastructure to create that change, we are going to have our white allies. Just like Harriet Tubman wasn't hiding in the under black people's homes, the white people for the Underground Railroad. Black people weren't marching by themselves with Dr. King on the streets of Washington. Our white brothers and sisters were there. And it's going to be this time as well. We're not going to be doing anything by ourselves. When you look at the police that were out there in the street that knelt with the protesters,
I saw that. Yeah.
That's the basis of community policing, and we have to come together.
So a unified platform. So in what you're saying, it doesn't come from one side or the other. It's a unified platform. What would be a message, right? A thought. So some thread of unity could come from where? Do you think it's more political? Do you think it's more in the educational system? Do you think it's in the family, as in the home? Where could that unifying thread even just start from?
Definitely in the family and in the home. Again, when folks call me and say, what can we do? For a while, I was struggling with what to do. One voice, I'm here at home, COVID-19. What can I say? What can I do? And as a former cop, military service member, who are the peacekeepers right now on many of the streets in our cities across the nation, black, gay woman, I fit all of the discriminated categories there. if I couldn't even think about what to do, heaven forbid, what are most people thinking, what to do, and they don't have any platform when it comes to social media or people that they're talking to influencing, right? So that engagement, the allyship,
Okay.
the conversation that starts at home. One of my friends, service member as well, she said, I always thought I was protecting my kids, when now I see I have to have the conversation about white privilege and who we are and how it's up to us to show up different. And her kids are 10.
Yes.
10.
Yes. I remember a similar conversation growing up. I think all of us were laid down with the responsibility of what we had to do to represent in our community.
And this was a white family.
Yeah.
That is telling me this.
Wow.
Right.
Now that's powerful. Now because I know that we got laid down with,
right.
here's this. But
right.
wow, it's a white.
That's why I said white. She taught this white woman talked to her kids about white privilege and who they are in the world and how it's up to them to be a part of the transformation, a part of the change, a part of the culture shift of not just saying, but being different.
Yes. And then, but to carry that out too. But is there a limit? 10 years old, they're responsible. They can read and write. They're powerful words that are going to come, very impressionable, the other kids that they play with. So I could see how that could change. Yeah, that could change, a kid's trajectory essentially, at least on how they interact. I understand that.
That's right.
So if we've started in the home, or as we've started in the home, so then to me, the next layer of that would be community, right? So coworkers or your next door neighbor. How about that? Let's even go more granular. Your next door neighbor.
Now this is crazy, but a whole lot of people don't know their neighbors. Okay. Most people know the people they work with. That's the community that they interact with almost every day for 8 to 10 hours a day. So how, and isn't it like sacrilege to talk about politics and sex at work? You just don't do it. And I found myself thinking, well, what am I going to do this time? What am I going to do this time? Because it was just different.
Right.
It was different. I watched a man die in front of my eyes. One of my fellow brothers and sisters in blue. Right?
Yes. So
what are we gonna do this time?
Yeah. So then, do we break those taboos? Do we get rid of that? Okay.
Absolutely. And that's why you see so many brands now coming out with statements where you didn't see it like this before. And now consumers, our community is looking at brands saying, what's your stance on this? Where do you fall in this conversation? Because Rhonda, silence is compliance. There is no neutral. You're either working to solve the problem or you're hindering. And silence and not speaking up is what has kept us in this spot for so long. Rodney King, we had all the riots. And over the last 30 years, what has shifted? When President Obama was elected, I remember some of my friends saying, oh my God, racism. I'm like, no, it's still here. Gun sales went up dramatically. Yeah. And a lot of things were covert. President Trump took office and a lot of things are now overt.
Yes. Yeah, scab, not even the scab, the mask. Yes, the mask. We're supposed to put one on when we go outside, but there's no mask anymore. There's no mask.
Right.
So I like the unified voice. I like the non-PC. And I just wanted to get your opinion about one that I found very interesting on my part. So when people in general, white, black, purple, orange, comment that they don't see color.
Please don't say you don't see my color. I want you to see my color. When we go outside, we don't say, oh, look at the non-color trees, the grass. We say, oh my God, the grass is so green. The trees are so beautiful. They're so green. I want you to see my color and I want you to celebrate my color, not just tolerate it either, to
Yes.
see me because I do have color.
Yes. Yes.
So, how do we see each other and celebrate who we are?
Okay. I think we do it, I think we have the potential to do it, right? If
Right,
you can enjoy Mediterranean food, if you
right.
can enjoy a wine from Australia, right? All those represent cultures, essentially, right? And so, how do we take that same palette, if you will, and taste for culture and incorporate it into our day to day lives?
Well, and I think it just boils down to seeing the humanity in each of us.
Okay.
That's all it is. I mean, I've had friends in the past say, "Oh, but you're different." I mean, I said, "What do you mean I'm different? You're not like other black people." Like, do you know all black people? Because they would say they don't like black people, but I like you. Like, what do you mean?
Wow.
They don't like how the media has portrayed black and what their idea of what they think black people are. And if I only looked at black people the way that the news and the media have portrayed black people, I'd probably be scared of them too.
Scared. Yes. Yes. But you know better because you live with aunts,
That's
uncles,
right.
and cousins that, that's just a minute portion of, glorified,
Right.
stereotypes. Yes.
And I would challenge my friends, my families, my neighbors, the people who don't know me, but they're looking at this video and hearing the sound of my voice.
Yes.
I would challenge us to increase our knowledge, know better so we can do better. And as a police officer, I know I can say ignorance of the law is no excuse. And ignorance doesn't mean dumb or stupid. It just means you didn't know. And at this point, with what we're going through, there's no reason not to know. And acknowledging that we have an issue is going to be the first step.
Okay.
Talking about how we can be engaged, talking to your family, your kids, your friends, right? And I'm talking about all folks, white, black, yellow, purple, as you said, but especially our white allies.
Yes.
We got to have the gutsy conversations, the courageous conversations, and not be scared into silence. Because again, silence is compliance.
Yeah, I like how you put that, the gutsy, the uncomfortable. So if we get more comfortable with being uncomfortable,
That's right.
then political correctness is not necessary, right? Because you get to be you, I get to be me, she gets to be her, and everybody
Political correctness keeps the knee on the neck.
I like that.
Here it
Yeah,
is.
it keeps the knee on the neck. I wanted to ask you one more question because I do value your time and thank you for all your contributions in this conversation because I really want this conversation to spark the thought, right?
Yeah.
Behind, but not even behind, to get in front of this problem, right? And one of the things that you touched on was education. Now, you've mentioned that, but where would I go if history books have been rewritten, right? My grandparents at my age are no longer with us. Where am I going to go to get that education?
I knew you were gonna put me on a spot with that. Well,
No.
so number one, just educate yourself about our history,
Okay.
period. First, right? And we have the internet. Then, we have the Black movement, Angela Davis, civil rights, and the book about anti-racist. It's again, there is no neutral. You could, if I was flying over a target, coming up to it and I'm thinking, pull the trigger, don't pull the trigger, pull the trigger, don't pull it. And we fly over that target and I didn't pull the trigger, a decision was made. Now, I didn't consciously make the decision. I was still in, should I do it? Should I do it? But a decision was made. When you struggle in silence, you're still making a decision. The decision is being made. And when we don't speak up when something is wrong, we don't have the moral courage. General Mattis, when he resigned as Secretary of Defense, I guess he disagreed with some of the policies or decision making.
Okay.
Then he said, I'm not going to disparage a president. I'm not going to talk bad about a president. Then a couple days ago, he just said, this is not okay.
Yeah, right.
And the military doesn't attack its own people. The line in the sand had been crossed and he made a different decision. And he consciously decided not to stay silent.
Yes.
Not to stay silent. We can't afford to be scared into silence any longer. Silence is compliance. We have a decision to make.
Yeah. And maybe it's the silence that's killing us.
It's the knee on the neck.
It's the silence is the knee on the neck.
Our breath is slowly just killing us.
No. Was this movement, because I feel like with civil rights in the 60s, there was a movement, right? With this
Yes.
momentum, right? We've had sacrifices beyond just this week's event, this year's event. I mean, this is 400 years of events kind of coming to
And
a
it just
climate.
wasn't one person,
It
many
wasn't one
people.
person. Yeah.
And again, I've been on both sides of it, right? I mean, I have been the thin line of blue, where we had to be together to accomplish the mission to protect and serve. And at a certain point, when we're not protecting and serving to the highest of our ability, when we're pushing a 75-year-old man down on the ground, watching him hit his head, blood going everywhere, and walking over him because that's policy, that's protocol, because the medics who were back there are going to come and take over. Where's our humanity?
You called it earlier, humanity.
Where's our humanity?
Yeah, humanity. I understand.
Yeah.
Well, I know this couldn't be solved in 20 minutes, 30
No.
minutes, but I wanted to at least ignite the conversation. And it meant a lot when I saw your LinkedIn post and you offered to share a message. And beyond that, I think the call to action is for us to all take action and get educated and be aware and engage each other and have the hard conversation. So I do thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. And I know people will engage with me and I'll probably get some hate mail and some hate messages and some hate inboxes.
Well, tell them where to send it to.
You know what? They can send it. They can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm here. And you know what? I don't care about the fallout. I'm willing to deal with the fallout as long as it increases awareness and we start behaving, ethical behavior. Who are we? Who are we as a nation?
I'll give you one thing. I was trying to figure out a species of animals that act the way that, and I couldn't even think of it. You make the comparison. Oh, such and such eat their young, right? But this is this isn't even that. I couldn't even think of a primal. I'm talking about without all the brain compartments that we as humans have that would treat their own like this, their own kind like this, and I can't even make a comparison. So, but
we have a decision to make.
Yes, but please share with us if there are more people that would like to have these conversations, would like you to participate in boards of any sorts. What's the best way to reach you?
The best way to reach me would definitely be LinkedIn. Not so much Instagram, unless I do stuff on there, but definitely through the professional network of LinkedIn.
Okay.
Or send a message through my website, vernicearmour.com.
vernicearmour.com. Thank you, Vernice. Thank you for the time this evening. And please stay loud. Make a lot of noise. Don't be silent. Stay loud.
We have to. Yeah. We have a choice.
Keep that voice open. All right. Appreciate your time. Thank you.